Hi, I'm Nick Dawson, the editor-in-chief of Talkhouse Film, and you're listening to the Talkhouse Film podcast. This is the second part of the fascinating conversation between Rian Johnson and Terry Gilliam. Over the next 20-odd minutes, you'll hear them touch on such varied subjects as piracy, magic, directing operas, and the horror of nature, plus Johnson's upcoming Star Wars Episode 8 and Gilliam's long-gestating projects, The Man Who Killed Don Quixote and The Defective Detective. So, let's get started.
I was actually going to ask you about the Holy Family, about the short that you did.
Oh, that's a nice one. Thank you.
Yeah. How did that? Because I actually just got a chance to watch it a few days ago. I just rented it off your site, and it's really it's beautiful, and it also I don't know I don't know if I'm just connecting it up to I don't know if this is annoying me connecting it to other films, but the same way the Zero Theorem connected up with me with Brazil, this connected up with Time Bandits, just in the way that it is this genuinely horrifying child's view of the world, and you're a little person in this world, this uncanny space that you don't know the rules for, that feels really dangerous. But what is that from?
It's a pasta company. It's based in Naples. It's a family-run thing, and they called Garofalo, and they make literally the best pasta in Italy, and it's sold everywhere. But rather than putting money into television ads, and because they love movies, and so every year they give a director a little bit of money. I mean, the budgets are very small, to make a film, like a 15-minute film that they will then put into the cinemas as a short before the feature. And I was asked to do one, and I've always been, enamored and mystified by Naples, in particular, this street called San Gregorio Armeno, where they sell all the stuff that you see in the film. Basically, they sell these nativity scenes at Christmas time. And there's also the whole history of Pulcinella in Naples is very dark, grotesque characters that, they're carved in all these various little tableaus that are done.
Yeah.
And that's where it began. It was just simply that. And I just wanted to do a story about San Gregorio. And so, okay. And then I found out, once I sort of started down this road, the idea that, if you steal a little Pulcinella doll, that's okay as long as you give it away. But to keep it is wrong. I love the idea that thievery there's nothing wrong with it as long as you pass it on to somebody else.
as a director with his movies in the digital space, I'd be careful about espousing that belief.
It's done. I've given up on that. In fact, years ago when piracy was going on like mad, I kept going around saying, "Yeah, go right ahead," because I haven't seen a penny from the studios in any of these films. I'm glad somebody's making money off it. And so we just literally, I had like a couple of weeks prep on it, and we shot it in a week. And it was so easy. I wrote it in 20 minutes. It was just easy. Yeah. And then I had a joy just working in Naples and finding, places to make all this stuff happening. And I'm really pleased with it. And the great thing is, well, it opened. It was a short film before Terry Malick's Tree of Life, but at least the audience had a few laughs that evening.
Oh, that's gorgeous, man.
But it was great to do a short film. You must have done short films at some point.
I grew up doing them, but I've never done that where I've, since I've been working, I've never done them that it wasn't just me goofing off with friends, where it's actually doing it kind of for real, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'll bet that but you do commercials and stuff too, right?
Once every 10 years I'll do one when I get really depressed knowing I'll never be able to get somebody to make a film ever again.
Okay, so what are you working on now? What it was the next Gilliam movie I get to obsess over?
No, I'm back in the default position of let's get Quixote going again.
Right. Is that what you're?
We'll see what happens. We're at early stages. I mean, I got the two main characters sorted out, and then discovered that this film that wasn't supposed to be going is suddenly going, and now it's just going to work out. When can we? I don't know. at every point. It's basically a doomed project, and maybe that's why I keep going back to it, some sort of 19th century romantic idea of things.
You're tilting at windmills and.
No, it's more. Actually, it's probably more Greek. It's Sisyphus.
Oh
it's,
no.
You know.
Wow.
It goes on. What do you? It's the Star Wars. When do you start shooting? Do you have a plan yet? Is that
Yeah.
scheduled?
There's a plan. There's a plan. They have release dates for the next, however many movies. Yeah, it's we start shooting. Yeah, it's not for a while. It's not for like another year or so.
Right.
But I need to write the script. I'm just starting right now writing. So
It's always
I have a
helps to
feeling.
get the script. Yeah.
Feeling I'm gonna need all that time probably. There's
Will you be coming to London to shoot or not?
Oh yeah, we'll be shooting at Pinewood.
Well,
Yeah.
you have to give us a shout.
Oh, that would be lovely, man.
Yeah,
I don't know if so I actually we had dinner. You and I had dinner years ago at the Citrus Film Festival. We had dinner and then we went to see The Holy Mountain. We like walked across town and saw a midnight show.
Yes.
And I feel like I have like there is an interaction we had during dinner that is one of the social interactions I regret most in my life. I feel like this is going to turn into a confessional. So I feel like I have to apologize to you. So I don't know if you remember, a magician came up to the table while we were having dinner and started performing some tricks. And he did this rope trick. And it was awesome. And we all were really delighted by it. And then you looked at me and you said, you know how he did that, didn't you? And I said, well, yeah, I know how he did it. And he goes, and you said, how did he do it? And I wanted to look cool in front of you. And so I told you how he did it. And I wish that is one of the things I think about this a lot. If I had a time machine, I would go back to that moment and not tell you how he did the trick. I still feel really shitty that I told you that, because instantly, like, you could see the joy die in your eyes. But I've carried that moment with me, and now I feel like it's lifted off my shoulders, getting to confess it to you here. So I apologize for killing you.
So that's why I've been so miserable for so many years.
I figured. I thought I'd relieve you of the burden. Aren't you glad we had this time?
Yes, I know. I know who to go hunting for now, who must die as a sacrifice.
Rian Johnson must die.
God. I forgot all about that. But isn't it magic is such one of the great things. And I have because I've got a friend, Ricky J. I know well.
Ricky really well, actually. Yeah. I've known him for years.
Well, he's one of the greats. And every time I come out to LA, and somebody usually organizes a dinner, and apparently I'm the only one at the table that's allowed to ask him to do a trick with And every time he does it, and even ones I know roughly how they're done, it's just astonishing, his skill. It's so brilliant.
And the way that he contextualizes it, there's something really, what's really magical is his, his attitude towards the form of it. And it's a strange thing also, because exactly that thing with telling the rope trick, like Ricky would be horrified if he heard that I did that. His respect for what actually makes magic magical, the unknown, which increasingly today there's less and less of that unknown stuff in the world. Again, coming back to the zero theorem, there's everyone wants to line up all the boxes and figure it all out, and there's this increasing sense that we can now, and I don't know if that's a good thing.
But this is the problem. I don't want the mystery solved. I want life to maintain mystery. This is why the Greeks were always pretty good with it was the mystery. It wasn't that everything was explained. There wasn't one little god that took charge of it all. It was the mystery. And I think people have really lost the sense of wonder, and because we constantly explain, we describe, explain, put things in boxes, put labels on them.
Terry, you're breaking up a little.
I've got a line in Quixote where one character that says, and that's right. He says, we can go to the police and explain what happened. And Quixote says, what? You think explaining explains things?
I love that.
That sums it up for me.
On the flip side, though, I don't know. There is also something romantic about, if that's the overall tide of culture now, is losing the wonder, is, does it make you feel a little more special that you still value that and you're still looking on, like, does it make lifting up the rock and finding this secret thing underneath and not solving it feel even a little more special because the world that you're doing that in opposition to is so much more strong and prominent, I guess? Or is that just a nice spin on it? I don't know.
No, I think it is this problem of trying to retain your child. No, I don't know, childlikeness or childness. I don't know.
Right.
It's that because and that's the hard thing about getting older. Things become more and more repetitive, more and more predictable. The same thing keeps happening. And it's like, and it does drive me crazy because I want to be the kid that, somebody looks out there and you gasp. There's something wonderful. I mean, right now, outside my computer screen sits between two windows, and outside is these great silver birches, pendulous silver birches that swaying. Mm-hmm. And I spend more time just staring at them. I'm not trying to explain them, trying to think about just watching, the whole business of nature functioning. And it's that. I still think maybe that's the thing. It's always to fear technology and all of the layers that are put between us and the natural world, because the natural world is infinitely amazing and magical.
And what do you do? What do you do to get your head back? And I don't know. How do you recharge your battery? Do you travel a lot? Do you go to?
Well, no, I've got a house in Italy up on a hill with a little bit of a castle ruin, and and there's no television, no telephone, no games, nothing.
Yeah.
That's and you force yourself back into the maw of nature and realize, God, it's rough. Get back in the car, close the windows.
Who's the comedian who said, "If nature is so great, why are all the bugs trying to get into my house?"
Exactly. So I was describing something the other day. I had to go to this convention, Dragon Con in Atlanta this last weekend, and I was talking about, I got onto my house in Italy and how wonderful it was. And I said, but if bugs could scream, the evening as the sun's setting and the swallows are sweeping hither and thither and the bats are beginning to come out, it would be horrific when all these screaming insects die horribly in the maw of these animals. And one day I'm going to have to do that. When bugs scream, it'll be called.
Oh my God. You've sold my tickets. I'm there. Take my money.
God.
Jesus, man. There's one other thing I wanted. Oh wait, actually, really quick. So this is something that I feel like I've been fascinated by this for a long while, and I only know the title of this mysterious project I've heard of yours, but just based on the title, this is the best movie I've ever heard. Defective Detective. Is this something that you're, and I have no idea what the state is. It's just something that I know for years I've heard, there's this Terry Gilliam project, Defective Detective. Is that something that's bouncing around still?
Funny, only because last night I was emailing Richard LeConvinaise, who wrote it with me after Fisher King, and I've got to come to New York in a week and a bit to promote Zero, and we're getting together to see if in this new world of 16 by 9 we can adapt the film into like an 8-part miniseries and get it made.
Wow, that's
Isn't it sad that but that's, now that I'm having watched Breaking Bad and binged my way through it, I'm beginning to think films. Oh God, the fact that cable is producing so much wonderful work. And it reaches audiences and blah blah blah. I mean, you've made a wise choice with Star Wars because you'll have an audience no matter what you do.
I don't know. You always get you always get the audience that, I don't know. I try to be really optimistic that even with the smaller, it's just a matter of the time frame over which it's discovered by the audience who's going to appreciate it.
You're
Is maybe
right.
expanded, but
Yeah.
I do think that like the smaller films that we make find the people who need to see them one way or another. I think I don't know, and maybe
I agree with you. I'm just getting old and I'm less patient. I'm going to die soon.
Well, that's exciting, and I don't know. I feel like that's I don't know, that's really exciting. The notion of you working in that medium and also in that kind of longer serialized. It always feels like your films are bursting at the edges with ideas.
Yeah.
The notion that you would have whatever 10 hours of storytelling to actually,
But
then and I'm sure that'll be bursting at the edges then, right? It will feel like 20
well,
hours.
we have to add a lot more than I thought, because it was always a struggle to keep it in under 2.5 hours. What we were doing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, a lot depends on what the budgets are like, because it's a lot. We've got to create a child's fantasy world with a middle-aged New York detective who's just really lost it, basically. But the idea, simple premise, i.e., kind of a burnt-out, hard-bitten, cynical cop ends up in a child's fantasy world where the rules are children's rules.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, I know. It's really nice. It's a good script, and we just, for a variety of reasons, it doesn't happen. I mean, you must have a few scripts sitting around that have never happened.
Oh, I wish, man. I'm such a slow writer. I'm so writing is such a painful process for me, and I don't know. I wish I had a couple in the drawer, but it's the opposite problem, I guess. Are you going to do any more? I was really disappointed, actually. I was just poking around online before this interview, and I saw the opera that you just directed. I was really disappointed that I didn't know about it, or I would have gone to see it, actually. Are you going to, how was that experience? Are you going to do that again, or?
Well, I've done 2 now, and they've both been successful, and they've both been painful.
How so? Like, what's that?
I don't know, because it's a completely different rhythm than film, because you rehearse for a couple months, and it's not until the opening night do you know whether you've pulled it off.
Right.
I mean, film, we've got an editing room for 6 months. Right. It's strangely enough, I don't get the same fulfillment out of it, because all I know is like the last one. Okay, it's 2,500 people a night, 8 performances. That's not many people that get to see it. And I also feel that opera audiences are pushovers. They're much easier to fool than a cinema going audience. It's like they pay so much money for their seats, they're determined to enjoy it.
Well, and I'm sure that I'm also sure that a lot of, there's probably a lot of people who don't even usually go to the opera who see that you directed it and show up for it, and probably are kind of, an easy lay in the best way, though, where they're experiencing this for the first time and are actually just kind of awed by the form of it, probably.
It was funny with Faust. 41% of the audience had never been to the opera before.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I really love. I mean, my daughter, who is like 30 years old, has never been to the opera. Because I don't go to the opera. I don't really like opera. I like listening to opera. I don't often like watching it because.
Oh really?
Oh, yeah, well, it has something to do with the casting. You got people with great voices, but the body and the face don't match the character they're playing.
I guess that's
and
true.
the age. So all of that, I can only suspend my disbelief so far. Now, that's just a fat, ugly lady who's pretending to be a 16-year-old virgin. What are we talking about?
Fair enough.
And so I'm happy to go to opera and keep my eyes closed. I really enjoy that. It's funny. But because I'm not a huge opera buff, and maybe that was what was interesting. I became this fresh way of looking at how you do the stuff, because I've got no respect for the form because I don't know what the form is.
I wish I could have seen it.
And my daughter was watching it, and she said, "It's like, oh, one night I was like, I was in a movie for a moment, and then suddenly they were there on the stage, and it was like, whoa! I was just doing some old 19th century tricks, basically.
Right.
And
Well, yeah, well, I think about the stagecraft, like in the Munchausen scene.
Yeah.
It seems like it would be a natural fit. Yeah.
But it's a different world. It's a different world because this stuff has been written. Say in both, like this on Cellini. Berlioz had 3 goes at it, and he never pulled it off. It didn't work. So my attitude was going, what he needed was a good editor. I understand the problem because he and I share the same inability. Just keep it simple, cut it before. Don't have 5 endings to it. Just tell the story straight. Right. So I just went in there with the axe and started to work through it. But then I have to confront the musical side, the musos, as I call them. And it's like, and the conductor, at one point in our discussions or arguments, and we were in rehearsal, he said, no, my job is to curate this piece. I said, no, I'm trying to create something that'll work. People are going to pay money. And I thought that's the problem is there so many people within the business that are so, it's not even reverential. They worship the stuff. Yeah. And you've got to bring it in, to me, my approach is in both. You've got to bring it into the 21st century. I'm not, and I have total respect for the work. That's the point.
Sure.
Come on, let's do something anyway. But I've done 2, and I'm not jumping up and down to do another one at the moment. But I know as I enter the veil of despond, there'll be the moment when I weaken.
I look forward to your weakness. It's amazing what a madman with an axe and a healthy lack of respect can accomplish. So, look forward to it. Terry, I don't want to keep you late. I feel like we've had our time together.
I think we have. It's been good talking to you.
It's been so lovely getting to talk to you, man. Thank you so much for doing this. And good luck with the movie. I really love the Zero Theorem, and I'm so happy.
Thank you. It's nice to actually talk to somebody who does, because there's so many who just hate it.
Oh, they're not here. It's for us.
Great.
All right, thanks, Terry. Take care, man.
Good luck with Star Wars. Say hello to Kathy if ever you bump into her, because I love her. She's great.
No, I absolutely will. I'll pass that on. All right, thanks, Terry. All right, take care.
This is Nick Dawson from Talkhouse Film, and you've been listening to the concluding part of Rian Johnson's conversation with Terry Gilliam for the Talkhouse Film podcast. For more filmmakers talking film, including the first part of this podcast, visit thetalkhouse.com/film. Subscribe to Talkhouse Film and Talkhouse Music podcasts on iTunes, where you can find all our previous episodes. And while you're there, please rate and review if you can.